I was nothing until he became my everything. Before Adrian, my life was a series of struggles and quiet battles no one noticed. I had spent years clawing my way out of hardship, fighting for a place in a world that never made room for me. I had no family to lean on, no safety net to catch me if I fell. The only thing I had was my ambition, and I clung to it desperately. When I first walked into Carter & Associates, I was determined to prove myself. The firm was prestigious, a powerhouse in the legal world, and I was just a junior associate with no connections and nothing but my work ethic to carry me forward. Adrian Carter was a name spoken with reverence, heir to the firm, a prodigy in the courtroom, and the kind of man people either wanted to be or wanted to be with. I met him on my first day, though I doubt he even noticed me then. He had walked past my desk, deep in conversation with a senior partner, his presence commanding and electric. "Laura, right?" I looked up from my paperwork, startled. Adrian Carter was talking to me. Yes, Laura Hastings," I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. His lips quirked up in a half-smile. "Welcome to the firm. I hear you impressed Mr. Lorne in your interview." I blinked. How did he know that? "I did my best." His eyes lingered on mine for a moment, something unreadable in them before he nodded and walked away. That was the first time I felt the pull toward him, the first moment I realized he wasn't just a name or a reputation. He was a man who saw things, who noticed people. What started as professional interactions, brief exchanges in the hallway, shared glances in the conference room, slowly grew into something deeper. It was the late nights at the office when exhaustion made our conversations softer, more personal. It was the way he leaned against my desk, asking for my thoughts on cases long after the others had left. The way he noticed when I was overwhelmed and slid a cup of coffee onto my desk without a word. Then one evening, everything shifted. I had been working late, my fingers aching from typing up notes when Adrian walked in. "Still here?" His voice was warm, carrying a trace of amusement. I sighed, trying to make sense of this case before the morning briefing. He studied me for a moment before leaning against the edge of my desk. "You work too hard." I let out a small laugh. "So do you." He smiled, but there was something else in his eyes that night. Something deeper. "Laura, can I take you to dinner?" My breath caught. I should have said no. I should have reminded him of office policies, of the lines we weren't supposed to cross. But instead, I found myself nodding. "I'd like that." And that was the beginning of the end. Adrian pursued me with a passion that left me breathless, unraveling every wall I had built around my heart. He made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. He took me to places I had only dreamed of, whispered promises that wrapped around my soul like silk. Nights spent under the stars, his arms around me as he murmured that I was his forever. Mornings filled with laughter, tangled in sheets and stolen kisses before work. "You're everything I never knew I needed," he had whispered one night, his fingers tracing soft patterns on my skin. "I don't ever want to lose you." "You won't," I had promised, believing every word. I became his heart and soul. And then, he destroyed me. I remember the moment it all came crashing down. The accusations, the betrayal. His family, the same people who once welcomed me with open arms, turned their backs on me, hurling accusations so vicious they left scars on my very existence. A thief, a liar, a gold digger. I was called everything but the woman who loved him. Adrian didn't even look me in the eye when he told me to leave. "I can't do this anymore, Laura." His voice was hollow, emotionless, as if everything we had meant nothing, as if I meant nothing. I begged him to listen, to give me a chance to explain. But his mother stood there, watching with triumph in her eyes, and his father's silence was a dagger to my heart. His sister, the one I had called my best friend, had been the first to accuse me. She had once been my confidant, the person I laughed with over coffee and shared secrets with. "You're family now," she had told me after Adrian and I married, linking arms with me at our wedding reception. I had believed her. I had trusted her. But now, her eyes were filled with venom. "You were never good enough for him," she spat as I gathered my things. "Leave before you embarrass yourself any further." And standing beside her, smug and victorious, was Cassandra Devereaux, Adrian's ex-girlfriend. Beautiful, wealthy, and cruel. She had never forgiven me for taking Adrian away from her, and now she had him back. "Poor Laura," she cooed, running a manicured finger down Adrian's arm. "I told you she was using you, darling, but you're finally free now." Adrian said nothing, his gaze hard and cold. He had believed them, believed her. I later learned that Cassandra had been conspiring with Adrian's mother and sister for months, a whispered conversation in a dimly lit parlor, their voices dripping with malice. "She's not one of us," Cassandra sneered. "She's an orphan, for God's sake. No wealth, no background. What does she really bring to Adrian besides embarrassment?" Adrian's mother nodded approvingly. "It's time we show Adrian the truth, make her look like the scheming little liar she is." His sister smirked. "Leave it to me." The setup had been flawless. Documents forged, money misplaced, a narrative so perfectly woven that Adrian never even questioned it. And I had been the perfect fool to believe love would ever be enough. And then, the final betrayal. One evening, long before the accusations reached their peak, I walked into Adrian's office only to find Cassandra perched on his desk, her hand resting lightly on his chest. "Adrian, darling, you work too hard," she purred, leaning in too close. He stiffened but didn't immediately push her away. "Cassandra, what are you doing here?" She sighed dramatically, running a perfectly manicured finger along his tie. "Checking on you, of course. We used to spend so many nights like this. Just you and me, burning the midnight oil. Don't you miss it?" I felt my breath hitch as I saw the hesitation in his eyes. "Cassandra, I told you. Things are different now," he said, but his voice lacked its usual conviction. "Are they?" she murmured, leaning in until their lips were dangerously close. "Because I don't think they are. I think you're just scared to admit you made a mistake." I swallowed the lump in my throat and turned away before I could see more. But that moment, that seed of doubt she planted, would only grow. And I had no idea just how much damage it would cause. The day I walked away, I left with nothing but the clothes on my back and a heart torn to shreds. They took everything from me. My love, my dignity, my future. I ran. I ran so far that I thought I'd never have to see them again. After I disappeared from Adrian's life, I imagined he moved on quickly. He had his family, his money, his empire, and Cassandra. It wasn't hard for them to erase me from their world. I was the girl they never wanted there to begin with. But what I didn't know then was that Adrian was trying, in his own misguided way, to hold it all together. He tried to love Cassandra. He really did. But the more he tried, the more he realized he couldn't. My laughter haunted his mind, the sound of it replaying in moments he didn't expect. He said my smile would flash before his eyes every time he walked past a painting or smelled fresh coffee. And the last thing he saw before falling asleep was the way I looked that day. The tears, the pain, the betrayal. That look stayed with him, ate at him. He buried himself in work, drowned himself in deals and deadlines. He even tried to rebuild his bond with his mother and sister, though it always felt hollow. "There was no warmth in that house without me," he once admitted. No light. Then came the night that changed everything. He was in his study, surrounded by silence and paper, the weight of everything pressing down on his chest. Cassandra walked in with a glass of wine, her heels echoing against the marble floor like a warning. "You've been quiet lately," she said, draping herself casually on the edge of his desk. Adrian didn't look at her. His eyes were on a photo frame tucked inside the drawer, one of us, taken during our brief honeymoon. A memory he hadn't been able to throw away. "Maybe because there's nothing left to say," he replied flatly. She let out a breathy laugh. "Still pining over the charity case? Really, Adrian? She's gone. I won." His gaze snapped up, sharp and burning. "Number, you didn't win. You never did. I lost. Everything. And I let it happen. But I'm done pretending, Cassandra. Whatever this is, it's over." Cassandra's smile faltered. She stood, anger flickering behind her eyes. "You'll regret this. You always do." He shook his head. "Number, the only thing I regret is not going after Laura the second she walked out that door. Then a few months after..." Adrian stormed into Cassandra's lavish penthouse, his heart pounding with rage. He had spent the last 5 years living under a lie, believing that Laura had betrayed him. Now, the truth clawed at his insides, burning with every breath he took. Cassandra sat on her couch, draped in silk, sipping a glass of wine. She looked up at him with a lazy smirk. "Well, if it isn't the prodigal husband," she purred. "To what do I owe this sudden visit?" He didn't waste time. "You lied to me." She arched an eyebrow. "You're going to have to be more specific, darling. I lie about a lot of things." His fists are clenched. "Laura, you set her up. You and my family." Cassandra's smirk faltered for just a second before she leaned back, feigning innocence. "Oh, Adrian, don't tell me you've suddenly developed a conscience. I heard you. I saw the messages. You and my mother plotted to ruin her." His voice was low, deadly. "You destroyed the woman I loved." Cassandra sighed dramatically and set her glass down. "Adrian, really, you should be thanking me. Laura was beneath you, a charity case, a nobody. She would have dragged you down." Adrian's stomach twisted in disgust. "You don't get to decide that. You took everything from her, and from me." Cassandra rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. You were always meant to end up with someone like me. We're cut from the same cloth. Laura? She was nothing but a phase." "No," Adrian said, stepping closer, his voice shaking with fury. "Laura was everything, and I let her go because of you." Cassandra's expression darkened. "Well, too bad. What's done is done. You can't undo the past." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Number, but I can damn well make sure you never get to manipulate me again. We're done, Cassandra, for good, and I swear you'll regret what you did." He turned and left, leaving Cassandra sitting there, her wine glass trembling in her grip. For the first time, she realized she had finally lost. Time should have healed me, but some wounds never truly close. I built a life for myself far away from them. I buried my past under layers of steel and vowed never to let anyone break me again. I had no family to turn to, no one to help me pick up the pieces, but I survived. I found work at a small but respected law firm, poured myself into my career, and forced myself to forget the pain Adrian left behind. I learned to smile again, to laugh, but deep inside, the scars remained. And then I saw him. I should have walked away the moment I recognized that familiar, broad-shouldered frame. But my feet refused to move. He was standing by the entrance of the gallery, talking to someone, his deep voice sending shivers down my spine. Adrian Carter was here, in my city, in my world. My heart pounded as I turned away, but it was too late. "Laura?" His voice stopped me in my tracks. 1,000 emotions warred within me, but I swallowed them all and turned around. His dark eyes locked onto mine, wide with disbelief. "It is you," he breathed, taking a step closer. "You just disappeared." I let out a bitter laugh. "And you never wondered why?" His brows furrowed as if my words confused him. "Laura, Don't," I cut him off. "Don't you dare act like you didn't know what happened." "Laura," he said again. I exhaled sharply. Don't say my name like that, Adrian, like I still mean something to you." "You do mean something to me," he said desperately. "You always have. And I know I don't deserve to ask, but please, let me explain." I turned to face him, my eyes filled with pain and something deeper. Anger, betrayal, maybe even love, buried under the rubble of the past. "Explain? Do you think words will fix what you did? You stood there and let them destroy me, Adrian. You let them take everything from me. And you didn't even fight for me." His throat tightened. "I was a fool. I let them poison me against you. I believed them when I should have believed you. And I hate myself for it every single day." I shook my head, laughing bitterly. "You hate yourself? You have no idea what hate feels like, Adrian. I had to start over with nothing. I had to claw my way out of the pit your family buried me in, and I swore I'd never let you or anyone hurt me like that again." He took a step closer. "I swear I will spend the rest of my life making up for what I did. If you never forgive me, I'll accept that. But I need you to know, I never stopped loving you." My breath hitched, and for a moment something flickered in my eyes. But then, just as quickly, I steeled myself. "Love isn't enough, Adrian. Not anymore." I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, shattered. Some wounds never heal, some betrayals can never be forgiven, and some love stories aren't meant to have a second chance. Or are they? And yet, piece by piece, my steeled heart began to soften. Not with promises, but with actions. With the way he looked at me now, with guilt, with awe, with a love that had survived the wreckage. He showed up, not to beg, but to prove something. And slowly, against all odds, I found myself listening. I found myself wondering, maybe some stories don't end. Maybe they just begin again, differently.